Okay, remember they're changing my voice. I'll give you $100 if you can prove me wrong here. It can't be done. Now, what we see is that there's a lot of females out there with a lot of conformity. And none of them give me a fair shake. She wouldn't, etc. And when we look at them, they're like an open book, right? What we leave this female to pose like that, okay, is predictable. It's simple. There's not many paths that lead to posing that way. And there's not many variations of those paths, if you will. So when it comes to the English guy trying to present himself as superior, Harry, William, some guy trying to be like James Bond or whatever, Sherlock Holmes or Robin Hood. Okay, we have the word vital, right? Vital. And limit, the first word limey, right? Not to insult anybody, but that's the first word in the wordplay. The second word T, not limey T. The T is the feminine suffix. Can an effeminate guy who's of English descent, right? The limit, right? Convince you that he is more ideal than a morally precise mulatto person. Okay? It's privilege versus soul brother heart and actually being chosen by God. And the more they sabotage black people to try to create association that takes away from the mulatto hero's kind of mystique or whatever, appeal, the more he sinks lower. For example, if an older English person was saying to these English clubs that are doing it, these Jews, whatever, okay, and everyone else, he would say, don't be that guy who sinks to the level of persecuting this guy every day to try to look better than him. And on top of that, it's in vain. Don't every day fail. You know, sun goes up, sun goes down, and you fail to do the right thing. Don't change his voice like a scared little girl from inferior stock, because that's a scared little girl move. From inferior, I promise you, inferior stock. Don't sink to that level. Because you go lower, and Chukwuemeka goes higher. And what are you going to say? That this chick doesn't see it that way? That she doesn't see it that way? That people who look like that don't see it that way? Perhaps they don't see it that way, or her. What are you going to say? That these females in this picture don't see it that way? Well, Violet Myers' opinion is golden. I mean, think about it. People in a trance acting like this? The die is cast. Tech, breeding, cheating, generational ill-gotten gains. Your privilege has done you in 1,000,000 times over. But you keep going to try to impress groupies on vinyl. No offense to anybody. To try to impress sororities and cheerleaders. I mean, give me a break. Rockers. It reminds me of mockers for a reason. To try to impress her and people acting like this and this guy. People who are very unsure who are being abused by the governing class. People who are thoroughly assimilated like her. And she seems to have more sense than basically every other female in these pictures. But she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing in life. She doesn't know. She just conforms to the oppressor's culture. So what is her opinion worth? Do they all have to look like Pinky from Pinky and the Brain or Rick and Morty? They all have to look like George Jetson before you get it? That you've lost. And other people's opinions, other than mine, they do not matter. They don't. They've conformed to cultures that have thrown in the towel when it comes to being an adult. Utterly thrown in the towel. The die is cast. And you're just sinking lower. In my opinion, my instructions on this are the only ones that matter because of what people have done. They were caught shamefully exposed with no righteous deeds. And who's to say otherwise? Her? McConan? Who's to say otherwise? The people you give orders to? Who couldn't possibly imagine doing the right thing? Please.